The sound of heels clicking against the marble walls, a huge contrast with the deadly strides 2 steps ahead of her. One's eyes were stuck to the back of a man who seemed so dangerous and approachable, yet she was to spend the night with him. As she walked past the huge hallways of a luxurious estate, one was ready to fight. Her heart beat was louder than the 50 people inside the mansion. One was scared of him, the man in front of her, imposing and threatening, as if ready to choke her any moment. He stopped, and so she did at a distance, a huge black door in front of him, which he opened and stood there, turned eyes to on her, waiting for her to enter first. It made her break into a step. His eyes, those deadly eyes, ready to eat her alive. One stepped inside and was met with a beautiful, luxurious room. Velvet curtains draped over the windows, satin silk sheets covered the bed like some invitation, and the dim lighting only heightened her senses. She flinched when the door locked behind her. It was a ritual in her family, a ritual she never understood the purpose of. To spend a night with your soon to be husband 2 weeks before the wedding? What was the exact purpose? How was it serving the purpose of creating an understanding between the couple? Jungkook stepped in casually, removing his coat and placed it down on the couch before he proceeded to remove his cufflinks, while his eyes landed on her eyes. Those eyes of a predator ready to pounce upon her. Everyone knew the purpose of this night, to tame their partner. Why do I understand what century they were living in? But could she hate him? He didn't make that ritual. JK, are you that scared? One followed his gaze, which was on her trembling hands. One, no, she said, hiding her hands behind her back. It's just a night, she added. They have met before. It was arranged by the family, but Wine have met him for like 3 times over family dinners, and God knows each time she was scared to death. Not to blame her, he radiated such aura which scared people to approach him. JK, just a night? He strode over to her. The bigger his presence got after each step, the higher her heart fluttered. Jungkook placed a hand on the door behind her and leaned back to her level. JK, maybe there is a misunderstanding in tonight's original purpose, and I don't mind clearing it with actions. JK, nothing about tonight is supposed to be anything but physical. He whispered, yet somehow Vine saw no emotions in her eyes. No desire like her, but there was no disgust or fear either. And as if he was just neutral. Vine, do you really want to marry me? That question took him by surprise. His hand slipped around her neck and wrapped his fingers around her in a chokehold manner. JK, would it matter if I don't? She gulped, right, it wouldn't matter. It was a decision taken by elders. One let out a gasp when he slid his arms around her waist, held her up in a bridal style, and walked up to the bed. Her trembling hands held onto his shirt tightly. JK, that level of surviving skills won't get you anywhere, Mrs. Jones. Wine choked at the title, and the pillow turned from a weapon to a shield. Wine, something is better than nothing. JK, hmm? Please make sure that something is reasonable. You could grab a lamp too, quite within your arm's reach. Wine foamed and placed the pillow in her lap as she sat up. Wine's breath quickened as Jungkook hovered above her. Her wrist bent over her head by only one of his hands. The other hand slowly wrapped itself around her neck. JK, should have used the lamp, he whispered. Fine, I have other ways to escape. JK, that might be, he asked with something glimmering in his eyes. No woman has excited him before like this. Wine huffed again and he chuckled, moving himself off her and laid beside her. Wine had another way of escaping, an authentic way. But she didn't want to use that as their first night together, of course. It was a crime to have a man beside her in the bed looking this heavenly yet scary. JK, so you understand what that means, Mrs. Jones? Your hands do not have to tremble when you're near me. Your eyes do not have to stuck to the ground either. Fine, then you weren't going to do anything tonight? JK, have you beside me? Yes. Anything that includes force? Of course not. Why would you think that? Fine, then can you claim it in front of everyone tomorrow that we did not do anything tonight? She turned towards him. The elder generation thinks another way. They believed in actions more than words. They were not going to accept it. JK, I know this wedding wasn't arranged by our wills, but I'm willing to fulfill my role. Wine, can you accept me as my husband? He held her hand and slowly Wine intertwined their fingers and nodded. That little one gesture, right in the morning, warmed her heart a lot. Later, when Wine stepped out after making sure she was presentable, there was a whole family at the breakfast table. Jungkook had stood up and come to receive her himself, and the whole family thought she overslept because she might be tired. JK, slept well? Wine nodded with a soft smile as he kissed her hand. She had to accept last night brought them a lot closer. Jungkook took her to a table and pulled back a chair for her to sit. Once settled, he served her with breakfast. Jungkook placed his cutlery down and looked at her. JK, no, we were not involved in such activities and do not wish to either before the official wedding takes place. JK, even after that, it is her body and her decision to take. When she's ready for such step, I might as well take us on a tour before that. So maybe wait a year or two or until she's ready. Wine asked, the whole table had gasped, was about to erupt like a volcano. JK, then we don't. Your kids do not get to decide that, yelled his father. JK, it is our child. Of course, we are the only ones who get to decide it, father. More arguments raised, but Wine's eyes remained on Jungkook. She didn't mean it. She definitely wanted a child with him. But that assurance, that sense of protection and respect, living in such a family, she never got to have it. This was something that truly made her feel like a woman who has someone to back her up. Jungkook held her hand under the table and squeezed it, trying to assure her with his soft eyes. But what he didn't know was, Wine was never this calm before in her entire life. This level of support, trust, and respect she never received it from anyone.